Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about mQuery. So I'm beginning a guide of, on mQuery from today. It's very simple to start with, and I'll be starting from basic. So today is 5th June when I will be starting it. So the agenda for today is that I found out two different documentation for Power Query, and we'll be talking about them. So those two links, I'll be sharing them in the description below, but they have a reference as Power Query M language reference and Power Query user documentation. So in order to save you time so that you don't get confused between the two, I'll be trying to give you some updates on that. So when you're talking about the Power Query M language, that is the advanced version of the Power Query user documentation. So whenever Microsoft creates any product, you will find out that in the product, they give you out-of-box features. And that is where we'll be covering it, or Microsoft has covered it under the Power Query user documentation. But then if you require something extra than what has already been provided by the templates, user interfaces, you move over to the next section, which is the advanced version, or we say customization of it. So if you want to write down your own code over the Power Query, you go with Power Query M language. Now, when we talk about the purpose, there are purposes are specific. As I mentioned, one is for guiding you how to use Power Query as a tool in Excel, Power BI, because it's easier. But if you go for an advanced version using Power Query M language, you are looking for the reference of M language where you're using Power Query formula language. So that's also called mashup, which you create. And when we talk about the reference for the M language or Power Query formula language, you're working directly with the connection and then you're writing down the codes. And again, just to mention the part that I've missed, when you're working on the Power BI desktop, what you get when you load the data, you would be using the Power Query. And that is where this comes in picture. I give you an example of Power BI, but it can be used in Excel as well. I'm here just comparing these two documents, and then we'll move over to start from the beginning from Power Query user documentation. I'll be just covering the comparison between them in this video. I'll be creating consecutive videos for the Power Query user documentation. And then after we have completed that, I'll be somewhere down the line, not immediately after this, but somewhere down the line, I'll be creating the Power Query and language as well. Now, just very quickly, finding out the difference between them. So the difference is when you're talking about the Power Query user documentation, it is the user guide for using the Power Query tools. The other one is M language, where you can go into the advanced version. So audience would be, again, because Power Query is simpler, it is for the beginners to immediate users, whereas the audience for the Power Query M language is for the advanced user developers and M scripters. The content type that you will find out in the Power Query user documentation is it is a tutorial, it's a step-by-step guide for UI-based instructions. Whereas when you talk about the content type, you're talking about the functions, syntax, expression types, and operators. So if I talk about Power M language, right, I don't know, many of you wouldn't have heard about it, or you would have heard about it. There is a language called F# as well. So that is more close to the M language. We'll be checking on that in the later stages as well. Then focus area, that is the focus area of those documentation. If you talk about the Power Query user documentation, the focus is on the interface-based data preparing and modeling. So basically, we are doing the modeling part there. But when we talk about the Power Query M language, we are looking at the advanced editor, where we want to do some specific changes using the code. If you talk about the examples in the Power Query user documentation, you will be finding out how to connect to source, merge table, applied steps. When you're talking about the M query or Power Query M language, you're talking about more advanced topics like text.select or table.add column. You do the error handling, you do the recursion, those kind of things there. Then product remains the same in both of them. You can use it in Power BI, Excel, and etc. Learning depth, Power Query is for the basic or beginners to intermediate users. So it gives you a practical usage. It gives you small walkthroughs. But because the M language part is for the programmers, it has to go through the deep technical references. When to use, Power Query is used for cleaning data and loading, whereas the M language is used for writing or editing M code manually. Then the documentation style that we have that has been given by Microsoft is the Power Query is task-based learning, whereas the Power Query M language is a functional level reference. That's where the documentation differ. So this was the thing that I wanted to talk about in this video. I'll be, as I mentioned, in successive videos, we'll be working on the Power Query user documentation. I'll be keeping them simple so that you can learn. With that, I've completed, but I just want to give you the reference of what other things we are doing. If you have any questions you want an answer for, you can go to that link. I will give you that link in the description below as well. Or you can go to the LinkedIn post. So these are the two posts that I've posted there. Number one is where I'm talking about if you have any questions related to Power BI, SQL, or Excel, you can drop the question to us. First of them is free. There is charge for the other ones. But if you feel that those questions are not being answered correctly, or might be, do you feel that the email is not sufficient for you to get the answers, we'll be also working on the live Q&A sessions, which will be held every Sunday between 12:30 to 1:30. That link that has been given on the top is for the registration of the same. That is for the Q&A. So if there are many people for that Q&A, it would be first come, first basis. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that don't ask very long questions. Try to be more specific towards the requirement, because in that case, we'll be able to help you. On the other side, we have one more thing which I do. I give a session on every alternate weekend. That is again on Sunday between 10 to 11 a.m. So if you want to book, next session is on 15th of June for modeling in Power BI. You can join us, and that link would also be given in the description below. So once again, thank you. Thank you for listening. And if you are new to DivKLearner, please subscribe. And if you feel that this is helpful to anyone, please share it with them so that they can take help from it. Thanks again. Good day. Bye.